You got it.
Yeah.
With the
Wait a second. I thought we were going tubing.
I'm doing the Sonic run, or at least just the running in place thing. Y'all running? What are we running to? Come one, come all. We are here, everybody, at the Rubber Duckies nominations. Yeah, that's right. That's right. In case you're wondering where the yellow coat is, okay, it's not the Rubber Duckies quite yet, but it is still the time to be here because that time of year is always so exciting. And what is more exciting to get this thing going than by knowing who the people are that are nominated for the awards that you yourselves will be able to vote for? That's right. In case you haven't gotten a chance to check this out before, the Rubber Duckies is not just the best award show, but the one that is specifically brought to you on YouTube so that you yourselves are allowed to actually vote for this stuff instead of the Academy, who's full of a bunch of who-know-whos. I'm sure they're all wonderful people. With that being said, for those of you that are joining us live, thank you so much for being here. If you're wondering why we're late, thank you so much for being here. For those of you that are catching this on the replay, thank you so much for being here. Make sure that you hit that like, comment, subscribe, and every other typical YouTube thing you would hear from this point forward. All right. Sounds like that minute and 40 seconds or roughly there is, just good enough to get us started. So without further ado, ladies and gents and everyone else that's joining us, I have my other squad members that are prepared to take this on and announce some announcements with me. So let's bring them on in, right? So, in no particular order, let's go ahead and kick this off here. We have the man, the myth, the legend. I like to say that a lot because this way none of them know who I'm talking about, because I could be saying that about anybody. But we're going to go ahead and first and foremost bring on out here the man that's lost in the reel, Sean. How you doing, bud?
I'm good. How are you doing, Jace?
I mean, fantastic, because anytime I'm here with you guys is just a good time to be had, no matter what we're talking about. But my gosh, is there many things to be talking about that are better than this?
No, honestly, this is my favorite time of year. It is award season, but it's also Rubber Ducky season. And I am always so excited to share our nominations with everybody and get voting started for the public. So I think we have such an amazing array of films and television that we're going to be celebrating today and for everyone to get to vote for. So I'm excited to see what everyone thinks of the nominations.
Well, just as I am myself. Well said there. And yes, right, I think we got a nice variety in here. Maybe some things that don't get as much love in other places, but we shall see. We shall see. In the meantime, let's go ahead, keep the roster filling on up here. If we could please get out, excuse me, calling in the Mr. Man of Movies.
Unfortunately.
That's Dan. Also a man of movies, though. That's okay.
Yeah. John had to step out for a second, I guess.
Oh,
so
okay.
Next, but I'm here.
But I'm here. Well, you know what? We're glad that you're here, Dan, because
Yes.
you're going to be in here anyway. So, man, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm a little unhappy because if my collar of my shirt was just a slight more V-necked, then it looks like we'd be close to twinning. What's up?
Yeah.
You also wearing like an olive green shirt right now?
Yeah.
What?
Okay, you guys didn't get the 80s retro vibe? Come on now.
I don't know. It's just great minds think alike, you know?
Yeah.
Well, so I guess just to play it safe, and because we'll let him do his thing here real quick, just to give a little bit more of a buffer zone. If we can have next up on the docket here, Mr. Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater.
Hey, what is up? What is up? Now so if we're skipping John, am I Dan now? I don't understand.
You could be. Hold on. Tell me, what is 40X?
Oh, geez, that's the thing where like everything's flying at you and the seats are shaking and wind is blowing at your face and all of that good stuff, right?
I'll take
your
it.
day job, Anthony.
All right. Thank you so much, Jace, guys. It's awesome. Thank you for being here. Rubber Duckies 4. Let's do it, man. I got the the nominations here, and I'm like fucking Tom Holland. I'm ready to explode and start leaking all over the internet. So let's just get the show going. And I can't wait. I'm happy to see the chat is live. We have some of our friends are back here, man. I miss doing this show so much. And whenever I see all of these names pop up, it's a
I
pleasure.
know.
Oh man, awesome.
Got a chance to see as far as the comments. What's up, everybody that's here? Drew,
Let's
Patrick,
bring up the
Eric,
comments real
thank you
quick.
guys.
Say hi to everybody.
Yeah. Let's see. So Sin is here.
Sin. Oh,
Hey, Sin.
oh, we're being reprimanded.
And then let's see. We have the View with Drew. Hey, Drew.
Hey.
What's up, Drew?
What's going on, Drew? Thank you for being here. Hey,
And-
everybody, check out. By the way, Drew had a mini award show,
yes.
right? As far
Yes,
as
He
not that
did,
long.
yes.
Yes, he did. How many nominations did Borderland get?
The answer is yes.
yes. Take a break from the comments, and we'll call the Man of Movies in now.
Hey.
What? Man of movies, get your
He's
sweet
here.
old behind on in here.
You know what they say, you always save the one with the worst connection problems for last. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to be here with all of you for the 4th annual Rubber Duckies. We're 4 years in. Is it? That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And films are just as good and as bad. That's also crazy.
I think actually they've upped the ante in both categories, right?
I
we've got,
agree.
You know, some even
Yes.
better, and then some where it's like you managed to be even worse somehow.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I do want to mention 2 things. I couldn't find my ring light, which is why I'm so gloomy, right? For those of you watching, and I also wanted to say that I did some homework because now that we're 4 years in, we have some stats, and so I'll save this for the end. But there's a pretty good way that we could try and predict Best Picture this year and Best TV Show, but we'll save that for the end, guys.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yep. I did my homework.
Yeah. I did a little over exaggerated reaction of the yes stats, but jokes aside, I do find that to be pretty cool. You know, it is really nuts to think that, you know, that we're 4 years into this, as we've said a couple of times. You know, if this happens to be for your first one that you're joining along with us, thank you so much. Obviously, you got some homework that you can do prior to this in case you're curious as to what happened in years past. But what do you guys think? Should we start to go ahead and creep our way on into what has happened in this year?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Or
I'm
this
so
last-
excited.
Last year, technically, we got to say now. I'm still getting adjusted to that. 2024. That's what we're talking about.
2024.
Movies of 2024. All right. So, everybody, let's jump on into the good old nominations, right? So, the people that are up to be voted by yourselves,
Let's get it, baby.
potential winners of Rubber Duckies for the 4th year. So, with the first category, we're going to go ahead. We're going to toss it on over to our man, Anthony. Let him display and talk about these nominations here for a quick moment. And the first category that we have up on the docket is Best Surprise of the Year.
Yes, biggest surprise of the year for 2024. Here it is, guys. It's our first one. So first up, we have Hitman, and then we have The Penguin, Drawer number 2, Transformers 1, and of course, Wicked. That is our list of biggest surprises. So, guys, that's it. What do we think? What are we thinking? What are we thinking?
The crowd's cheering, first of all. That's what they're
A whole
thinking.
lot of surprises.
You know what else everyone's thinking is, wait, I'm surprised by every one of those films. How did these guys know exactly what to put?
I think the biggest surprise is that for the first year ever, we have a TV show in for biggest surprise.
We
Thank
do.
you very much. You stole the words from my mouth.
That was a surprise to us as well. So,
It was.
Yeah, just I guess is appropriate time to throw out there. Not for all the categories. Okay, we do want to make it very clear that some of these, well, some of them are obvious that they have to stick to movies or film, right? As far as like leading actor, of course, that's leading actor in a film. And then we have a separate category for leading performance in TV. But there are just a couple of categories that we took a look at and thought, after much deliberation, of course, perhaps there could be a blend of film and TV here. And you know what? It just so turned out that we felt that that show was as much of a surprise as these other movies we have in the category. So, guys, we feel obviously that Penguin is a worthy addition, and you feel like it's something that the masses might agree with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt. Jason, you were the one who was saying like initially you weren't even so hot on the show, maybe from the trailers, and then we ended up doing a stream on it. That's a plug, guys. Please check out our stream on the Penguin. So yeah, that was definitely a surprise. I think that hit a lot of people over the head. It was just like, where did this show come from, and can we please have some more?
Yeah. Yeah, I personally think that, as far as being someone who's a huge superhero advocate, I can't say that there was any part of me that was looking forward to a Penguin show. And my gosh, did they knock it out of the park. Let's see. So, okay, Sin's already got her vote. I believe it was Patrick that was thrown out there about that Hitman was definitely surprised. Yes, it was.
Hitman was a huge surprise.
Very fun.
That was something I remember you guys recommending it to me. I hadn't even heard about it to the point where when you mentioned it, I was like, the video game adaptation? And no, it was a completely different thing. And if you haven't checked it out, well, I think you might just be surprised by it as well.
Oh, and Eric loves the Penguin.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, hey, Eric, what's up?
Very nice.
Best thing of the year. Oh.
Yeah, you're gonna.
Well, at least it's better than Joker then.
Drew also mentions that Transformers 1 was a huge surprise.
Yes.
Which it was, because the trailer didn't impress me either, man. That's understatement. I thought the trailer was trash.
Yes.
The movie was so good.
Yeah,
trailer was terrible.
That was a ridiculous. I remember to the point where I felt a level of severe disappointment for a moment. So I'm a pretty big Transformers fan, right? Grew up with the old cartoon and everything like that, and I was really excited that there was finally going to be a movie that didn't have a human focus. And then to see the trailer as like what they displayed, I was like, nah, this isn't what I was asking for. I don't think anybody was. Agreed. Totally different than what the trailers made it seem to be.
I love what Patrick is saying here. Juror number 2 was a surprise, and this is why, because juror number 2, Clint Eastwood also, I feel like, has made some like kind of shoddy films recently, and then WB like just drops it in like 30 theaters, and then all of a sudden, like, you watch the movie and you're like, this is one of Clint Eastwood's best films in a long time. So I don't know, there's some really good surprises this year.
Yeah, but let's pour hundreds of millions of dollars into Joker 2.
Or that.
How many shots are we going to fire at Joker 2 tonight?
Lots.
Then he has one right here.
Almost anything is better than Joker 2. Just thinking of that film gets me annoyed all over again.
Don't you worry there, Sin. You'll see Joker 2 later.
That's right.
Yep.
All right.
Well, at least it might not be quite yet, okay, because it's not necessarily within the next category to be announced. However, to get into the next category that is announced, Man of Movies, if you could do us the greatest a favor and let us know what may be up for Hidden Gem.
Ooh.
For sure, Hidden Gem. The nominees are Daughters, Red Rooms, Stop Motion, Strange Darling, and What You Wish For. These are your nominees for Best Hidden Gem at the 4th Annual Rubber Duckies.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, we feel I feel obligated to do like a little golf clap, fancy clap.
I love this category so much. I hope that everybody, if everyone hasn't seen a lot of those films, like I hope that they take the time before they vote to go check these movies out and just get to experience them, because there's a lot of special films on that list.
Well said. That is a category that it's it's understandable if anybody, even if you are a strong cinema fan like we are, that maybe you just haven't seen or maybe even heard of some of those movies. But that's kind of the purpose of that category, right? So shout out to Sean for always pushing so hard. I think it was just your idea in the first place, man. So I love you for that.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
it's something that it really is a great way to make sure that there's certain things. So much comes out nowadays, so many films, so many shows. And it's nice to be able to sometimes like get a really good suggestion and not have to just funnel through the weeds yourself and hope that you've landed upon something. And yeah, there are some stuff in this category that really, really deserve to get some recognition that, you know, again, just kind of have flown under the radar up until now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is also a good point to bring up that whenever voting does officially open up, for those that immediately vote after, or for those on the rewatch, then vote. This is why we always have the option that you can edit your votes, because
Mhm.
of movies like Hidden Gem that maybe you didn't see. And because we nominated these 5, maybe you start to watch them. And maybe you said, oh, well, I thought this was my favorite, but now I'm going to watch these. And actually, that one's my favorite. Now I'm going to go back and edit my vote. So that's why we always leave editing open for you guys.
And we also give you guys like pretty much a month to vote, but also to watch all of these movies and TV shows to make your best informed decision.
Right, right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And, Sin said this, which I wanted to bring up actually. Is Better Man going to show up in it for a nomination? I know it's a late release, but doing that film deserves some love. It's so good. So Sean was
It
the
is
only one.
really good.
I know it was really good. Sean was the only one that was able to see it like a couple weeks ago. I just saw it last night, so it will not show up. But we did really like it.
It does happen every year. Unfortunately, there's always that one film that ends up getting praise that it wasn't able to get in because nobody saw it. At least none of us
Yeah.
saw it. I remember last
I mean,
year.
I did, but
Right. Well, last year, like I really, really enjoyed The Zone of Interest, but that came out after nominations. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So there's always that film that comes out late.
Well, and sometimes, right, not everything's going to make the cut, even if it did come out within the year. I believe I saw a comment come through from a username I don't think I recognize. So thank you as far as for joining along with us. But saying that Thelma, right? So no Thelma, surprisingly.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Easty VR. Yeah,
I
you know,
love that movie. If
It
you guys haven't seen Thelma, that movie is such a joy.
June Squibb, yeah.
and it's just perfect proof that, you know, really there's fairness to say there could be an honorable mention list for all of these categories, right?
Oh,
At the end
yeah.
of the day, when it comes down to nominations being chosen, please understand that it is not always an easy discussion had amongst us, you know, because there's sometimes just a lot of really good options for any given category. So, yeah, apologies. If anything, I always like, though, that when people feel that there's a strong enough choice that it's like, oh, that could have made that category, especially for one like Hidden Gem. That's great. So
Yeah.
good looking out. Good looking out. Well, should we stroll along?
Yes, we should.
Let's keep strolling. Next one up here. Hey, Sean, would you go ahead and be so kind as to let us know who's up for Best Supporting Actor?
I would love to, Jace. Best Supporting Actor at the 4th Annual Rubber Duckies. The 5 nominees are Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, George McKay for Femme, Nicolas Cage for Longlegs, and Yura Borisov for Honora.
Ooh, love this lineup.
This is a strong one. This is a strong one. And I just want to say that it's going to be tough to beat out Nick Cage at his Nick Cageiest.
Right, and it's like a good Nick Cageiest, not like a Wicker Man Nick Cageiest.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he went up there, but he found the right tone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Cage in Pig was amazing, and we also nominated him at the Rubber Duckies for that. So,
But he wasn't Nick Cagey in that movie.
yes, like this is Nick Cage being Nick Cage, and it's insane, and I love it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. There was someone who just told him, go for it. And I thank you to whoever that person was.
Osgood Perkins.
Yeah, Patrick throwing out there Nicolas Cage was amazing. I heard, yes, we can confirm that is indeed the case. You know, obviously with performances like that are so out there, I think you're going to have some people where undoubtedly it's going to be a miss. You're going to feel like some people think he went too far or did too much. I feel like it was just in the right tone of creepy and weird and what it should be. And it's just a very unique performance. There's not really anything that's similar to that's out there right now. And that can be kind of tough to do when you're trying to portray a character like that.
Yeah, I mean, speaking to Jace's point, Sin said she loves Nick Cage, but man, his performance actually annoyed me in Long Legs.
Whoa.
I can see why. I get it.
I do too.
It is a
Yep.
performance that is swinging for the fences.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those where I feel like for us in particular, that it happened to land more than not. There was only one moment where he like kind of sings for a moment, and it just made me like
love
everything
that.
else I felt like was creepy and good. The part where he sang, I was like kind of laughing. I was like,
It
That's
works
funny.
though. I loved it.
it does.
Man, but I mean, we have some other heavy hitters in there, man. Clarence Macklin, for those of you that haven't seen Sing,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
that could have been a hidden gem in and of itself. If only I knew that the other award shows weren't really gonna care for it, I would have probably put in Sing Sing for hidden gem, because Clarence Macklin in that is heartbreaking. And
Yeah.
oh, dude, like so good. He's just so good in that movie, and he's basically playing himself, and what he went through when he was in Sing Sing prison.
Yeah. It's such an authentic performance, and it's so real, and I love him in that movie. I think it's so good, and the fact that people are just not voting for it, I really don't understand. Like, I know the critics have seen it. Like, I know these voting bodies, like everyone
Right.
voting for Globes and stuff, like they've seen Sing Sing. I know that they have, because they get screeners. So the fact that they're not voting for it bewilders me a little bit.
The only other one that I wanted to mention anything about real fast was Kieran Culkin in a real
Right.
pain, because I just feel like that is such a usually when it comes to performances, most of the time it's things that are like very, very emotionally based or like overly dramatic, or things that are like very much caricatures that are kind of brought to life. And not that there's not plenty of just real relatable, like, yeah, I've seen someone like that type of performances, but this just falls so much more in that category, the latter, where I feel like everybody has at least met someone that is like Kieran Culkin's character in A Real Pain. And, love him, hate him, or anything in between. It's just like refreshing to see it portrayed so well on screen. It seems so genuine. If I didn't know any better, I would just think that was really him. You know what I mean?
And I
So
think
props to him for that.
it is honestly a little bit him.
Oh, yeah,
but
for
that's
for sure.
okay, because I think it's just such a great performance, and he really shines as himself. So
Right. I mean, quickly on my end, I am such a fan of Yura Borisov in the Nora, just because it's such a meek performance, but it's all about presence with him. While Kieran Culkin is like almost low key a lead in that movie, Yura Borisov is like almost so in the background that you're like, wait, is he really supporting? But it's not till like you start going through the movie, you go, wait, yeah, it's the presence, man. He is definitely a supporting player here.
He does also a really good job, I gotta say, of acting really well and portraying a lot of emotion without having to use a lot of dialogue. Like, I know this is going to sound like it's a really funny analogy here, okay? But it reminded me of Tom Hardy when he was Bane, because he's wearing and he can only act with his eyes, right? He has to try and convey so much with really just this part of his face, because he's wearing a mask for the bottom part of it. Now, obviously, this guy's not wearing a mask in Anora, but it's more so like he did such a good job of kind of like he's very laid back, right? He doesn't express a lot of emotion, but he expresses just enough to where like you always know what he's thinking or feeling when he's looking out for Anora, when anytime he's like noticing that like she's going through something, he's just like he feels the awkward tension for her. Like that type of stuff is displayed very well within his performance, like in his body language.
I love one of my favorite scenes of him is when he's like, I think he should apologize. I'm like, oh yes, finally.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. And what a silly thing to have to stand up. Like, I don't know, man. If the mother to have to like stand up and be like, he's not apologizing. And it's just like,
oh,
I mean,
Lord.
Come on. Like how immature can this whole situation be?
Great lineup, guys, for real.
Yes.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe we will see that up for some other things. Speaking of other things, this seems like a pretty appropriate time to get to the next one. Hey, Dan, You know, we just talked about supporting actors, and you know, sometimes we should also look at the other side of things, like right now, and talk about supporting actresses.
Yes.
So, supporting actress at the 4th Annual Rubber Duckies. Adria Arjona for Hitman. Ariana Grande Patera for Wicked. Dali De Leon for Ghostlight. Margaret Qualley for The Substance. And Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez.
All right.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, great. Well, I should maybe choose different words there. Great something else. Maybe not balls. Something else of fire. Anywho, with the choices there, some really good ones. Guys, I got to first mention about Margaret Qualley. I've never heard of her, seen her, nothing as far as like.
I think you have. I think you have.
You have definitely seen Margaret Qualley before.
Maybe you might not remember. She's been in a lot. That's why.
Okay, because yeah, good point. And where? I feel bad asking that, but I
No, you're good. Yeah. You ever seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Tarantino movie?
Oh, yeah.
I am making my way around to it.
Okay. Well, she wasn't that.
Okay.
Which part did she? I saw that, but I can't remember her in that. Which
She was the hippie that was always with Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
right. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And she's in the show Made on Netflix, which was fantastic.
And she was in this movie I don't recommend, Driveway Dolls.
Oh,
Uh,
dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, real quick. There's a comment. Scripio Barbatus says, "Goodness gracious, great broads of fire."
Oh, thank you.
I like
Nice
that.
save.
Perfect.
Nice save. Goodness gracious, great broads of fire. That rolls off the tongue really nicely. That was
It
that was
really
well put
does.
together. Yeah, no, Money Qualley and Grande. Yeah, I'd say those are some pretty strong choices there. Yeah, the only final thing I'll mention about Margaret is again, having not feeling like I'm too familiar, maybe is the best way to put it, with her work. I thought she really put in a strong performance, and that is saying something when you compare it next to Demi Moore's performance in that, because I think she really brought the heat, and you know, it's hard to kind of stay on a similar wavelength as that. And I felt like they just really both did a good job of bringing similar levels to each other to be able to kind of make it seem as though they really are, without trying to give a heck of a lot away, but one and the same character, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I've got to mention Zoe Saldana. I know now it's been almost more than a week now since the Golden Globes, and it has become a trend to hate on Emilia Perez now.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't want to say that I get it, but I kind of get it. That being said, man, Zoe Saldana and Emilia Perez is absolute powerhouse.
Yes, it's
It's
exceptional.
almost category fraud to have her here because of how big of a role she plays in Emilia Perez.
That's such a funny way to phrase it. You're right. Get her out of the category.
No, I
That's a
consider
valid choice.
Yeah.
Well, no, otherwise, as far as, right, a lot of good ones. And then obviously you can't, right, completely overlook, as mentioned, Ariana Grande, right? Wicked is just,
Yeah.
Wicked's just too big of a powerhouse of a film in general to be overlooked.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone to overlook Dolly De Leon because she's this amazing powerhouse Filipino actress who was in the Oscar-nominated Triangle of Sadness, which me and John hated.
Yes.
But we loved her in it.
Oh.
And she's in this movie Ghostlight, which is such a special, incredible film that I hope more people also check out. But Dolly De Leon is amazing.
Well, if you haven't seen all those performances, looks like you got yourself some fun homework to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
On to the next one. To move this along here, let's see, Jace, you know, if you wouldn't mind going ahead and just telling us what the best popcorn flicks are. Sure, Jace, why not, I guess, since you asked so kindly there. Nominations for best popcorn flick for the 4th Annual Rubber Duckies are Carry On, Gladiator 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Ooh.
Goodness gracious. Goodness
Thank you,
gracious. First
Jace.
of all, Jace, thank you for reading off the nominations with such enthusiasm. I really appreciate you for that. No worries. It's the least I could do. Second of all, some great popcorn flicks in there. I mean, I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but I'd have a whole darn bucket to myself for any of these.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, man. Like for real, like really, really good movies. I'm actually happy that we took out superhero movie for popcorn flicks because we could
Me
put
too.
superhero movies in there,
Mhm.
but also other movies that deserve to be recognized.
Yeah.
Also,
Yes.
superhero movie would be really, really bad this year.
Oh
'Cause there'd
Lord.
be like one nomination.
Yeah.
So I feel like
The nominees for
Popcorn
best
Flick-
superhero movie are Deadpool and Wolverine. And the winner is The Crow.
I am also, as far as the comment came through about glad that Deadpool 3 and Sonic 3 are getting love and recognition, everything.
Yes.
100% very, very pleased about that. Can't stress enough. Already mentioned once. Might as well throw it out there again. Love me some superheroes. And, Deadpool 3 was like a very, very big anticipation. Been a lot of talk about that going on for a very long period of time. Was very curious to see what rumors and leaks ended up being true. And I just feel like, thankfully, it really, really satisfied on multiple levels and brought a level of attention to Marvel that it desperately needs at the moment because it's, obviously kind of a mixed bag depending on who you speak to. And as far as Sonic 3, it's one of those where I grew up with the Sonic games. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm just really kind of almost flabbergasted and pleasantly surprised that there is an entire trilogy of movies about this character now. And that has been done with like such care. It still makes me think how crazy it would be. And someone posted a picture of like how all the characters would look if they kept the old design of Sonic.
Really?
Imagine if they stuck with that.
I'm curious.
God,
I'm
no.
curious.
I am perfectly fine with Ugly Sonic remaining in the what was it? I believe it was in Chip and Dale.
Chip and Dale, yes.
Chip and Dale.
Ugly Sonic and Chip and Dale was great.
I love that movie.
And the rest of us will keep the cute, cool Sonic who looks like pretty much like the famous one from the 90s.
Yeah. The ugly one seems like really, really well attempted A for effort fan art. But it's like you should also maybe stop because this is starting to turn into nightmare fuel.
Oh, the
Right.
teeth.
Yeah, the whole thing was weird.
Imagine that as a popcorn bucket.
Oh,
Yeah, those teeth specifically. Eric, mentioning as far as that Joker 2 is better than Deadpool and Wolverine. Those are fighting words. So I realize that none of us live in Canada, but fisticuffs shall be thrown. And if we need to cross borders to do so, I guess what needs to happen will happen. I'm just joking. You feel how you feel, but you're wrong. But you feel however you feel.
I love that Eric has his opinions, and
Yeah.
they're always very opiniony, and that's great.
They're
yeah.
very-
And to be fair, Eric has a friend because somebody else, I believe it's EastVR, said that
Yeah, they like to.
Also,
Yeah.
really like
they like
Joker
Joker too. So we won't go as hard on it, but we will.
Oh
still
no,
go-
we will. We will.
Yeah.
It's just
No,
okay
no,
if you liked it.
We will still go hard on it. Not as hard.
His opinions are very opiniony. You mean biased?
Yeah, that was such a great way to phrase it. And hey, look, if you really did like
Love
it more,
your-
then that's
Oh,
what's
yeah.
the beauty of all this type of stuff, right? Is the fact that it's all subjective opinion. And it's
Absolutely.
interesting because at the end of the day, we could all sit here and argue until our face is as blue as the background behind us, but no one could ever actually prove that we're right because you feel how you feel and we feel how we feel. And that's also why we're interested to see where the votes lead.
Yes.
As far as anything else with the popcorn flicks, the only other thing I would mention is I do think it's really cool that with how many entries we've gotten within the Planet of the Apes franchise, that
Right.
we have one that is still strong enough to be able to make it into a category.
Oh, yeah.
Because this easily could have started to feel like really played out by now. And props to them for, being able to take a fresh angle at it.
I'm happy to say that's kind of the reason that one ended up in there. I just thought that movie was way better than it had any right to be. But I mean, again, the franchise has been holding up. I guess I was waiting for it to fall off, and thankfully it hasn't. I'm
No,
still
man. I agree with you, Anthony. I mean, the fact that you put it in here is awesome. The Matt Reeves not being connected to Planet of the Apes, and it still was a banger.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Well, and then especially I feel like, again, it's one of those where it makes the most sense to take as big of a gap as they did within the story.
Mhm.
It's it's also a bit of a risk, you know what I mean? Because it's questionable as to how much interest there would even be. It's like, well, the biggest thing about with those 3 movies with Matt Reeves trilogy is Caesar and his story. And if it's like we're just, going so much past that, again, could be interesting, could easily have not been. So yeah, once again, I really give him a lot of credit for taking a task like that and doing what you should be doing within movies, right? It's proof that you can take an IP that has been around for a long time and still keep it fresh. You just gotta season it right, mix it up a little bit,
Right.
give it a little shake and bake, so on and so forth. Speaking of shake and bake, let's shake this on up here. Anthony.
That would be me. And
That's right. And do you mind if you'd be so kind? There is a subject that, not everybody's always like looking forward to this because, we don't always like talking about the worst of stuff. But do you mind just. I'm sorry. That's whenever.
Wow, he actually burped.
Made me throw up.
Dude, because worst film gets me to get, hey, I got to commit to the bit, okay? Because it's worst film. All right. So Anthony, you mind getting us set up with what are the nominees for worst film?
Well, guys, I'm sorry to say this is our list for this year, and it's a mixed bag of something. All right, first up we have The Front Room, then we have Joker 2. Sorry, Eric. Kraven the Hunter, had to be on this list. It was basically mandatory, right alongside Madam Web, and we're gonna round things up with the piece of crap known as Night Swim. There we go. Worst films of 2024.
What a nice one. We're gonna end it off with the piece of crap known as Night.
Oh man.
So we could practically call this a list of unwatchable movies. I don't know. These are the types of films that they just frustrate you because in so many cases you feel like there was so much potential there and it just went down the drain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and just address the elephant in the room for some people because I think it's pretty clear, right? Like I don't think it's unfair. Even if you enjoyed the movie, I would hope that you at least can be open-minded enough to understand as to why, as far as why this would be in here. Again, if you did enjoy it, seriously, that's great, right? I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, when they make films, I'm sure the intention is for somebody out there to like it. So by all means, all the more to you, to each their own. With that being said, this was a very collective agreement that we felt, as Anthony hit the nail on the head, potential to be something really, really cool and just unfortunately missed on a lot of marks. If I may say for myself very briefly, I actually remember very distinctly being in watching Joker 2. And while I was in the theater, I forgot where it was, but it was about, I want to say like, if I'm speculating, 40-ish maybe minutes into the movie. And I remember there was a moment that happened where my girlfriend turned to me and she said, I don't really understand what everyone's complaining about. And I remember thinking to myself in that moment, I agree. Like I was like, am I really going to be one of those people that's going to have to try and convince the world of why this is actually a masterpiece? In other words, there is some good within that film, right? Please realize that just like with a lot of these movies, there might be good moments, maybe a good performance, maybe a scene that's really cool or fun. But at the end of the day, like as a collective story, movie, film, whatever you want to say here, it just didn't add up and amount to really what it could or should have been. And I think Joker 2 is a perfect example of that for this particular year.
Oof.
Yes, I
hit the nail on the head. Great job.
So I'm the only one that saw Borderlands, and I actually liked it. So that's why I'm here.
That is the only
So
reason it's not on
expected in Best Picture. So
and then No Afraid. It was close. We haven't seen The Mousetrap. Argyle was horrible. Yeah.
Argyle was close.
I mean, we could have made it a top 10 if you wanted to, and we could put all of those movies in.
Let's do a top 10.
Right, and put all of those movies in. Hey, let's say something real quick. Aside from Venom, we have the Sony Marvel Universe of Spider-Man movies, or whatever they're called.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah,
they're in here. They're in here, guys.
As they should be.
That is true. Yes. And it's really funny how that was. I feel like if you were following the news at all, then you knew from the get-go that those were predicted to be complete bombs. And It's weird to see that come entirely to fruition. You know, it's just,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and again, deservedly so. It's there's nothing to brag about with either of those films, and it is a big. What were you thinking, Sony? Side note, everyone, little trivial fact in case you didn't know this: like the dude who runs Sony stood out and was like, "Hey, you know why those movies didn't work?
Oh,
Because like." Reviewers just said bad things
Yep.
about them, and people just had weird opinions, and they're actually great movies. I don't know why
I
people don't
love
like
that.
these. And it was like a week later that he's like, there was notice of like, yeah, that dude's stepping down. He's not. He's not
You know why that movie didn't do good? Because people didn't like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of?
that's
That
why.
reminds me of. And Andy Muschietti recently just made a comment as like, you know why The Flash didn't work? Because from what I heard from people, The Flash is just not that popular of a character. Actually, not a lot of people care about.
Oh
The
no!
Flash.
Or when he tried to be like justify the CGI, he's like, actually, the CGI isn't bad.
it's supposed to look like that. Do you not get the artistic intent?
That is a joke. I'm sorry, I can't.
Right.
With the babies, no, that
Oh
should
my
never have gone to
goodness.
screen.
Honestly, okay, look, I agree, right? Babies, so bad. You want to know what the biggest crime is with the CGI in that movie? The PlayStation 2 version of Henry Cavill that we saw in the time bubble thing. Come on, man. Somebody at Warner Brothers
What about
hates Henry Cavill.
or completely CGI Nick Cage? That's another
Nick
one.
Cage, that was bad.
Let's just add the Flash in for this year, even
Yeah,
though it was 2
just
years
for one
ago.
more year.
Was
And I bet,
was that
and I
last
bet
year?
it would
Let's
win.
do it.
Well, it's I will say, you know, if it wasn't clear enough, some really horrid entries, and you know, when we were saying about like making it 10 entries, that is totally a possibility here because there really have been enough bad ones, obviously in years past too, but it's like this year they were just going for it. Like there was someone who was like, you know what, hold my beer, I bet you I can make one worse.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna be honest. We haven't mentioned this, but I think we were feeling a lot of the repercussions of the actor strike back in 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. I know
Yeah.
people, I think it's not even that long ago, but you probably have a lot of people that are already like, oh yeah, that happened. That's
Mhm.
right.
It did.
Mhm.
And it
Yeah.
affected us last year for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
well,
Yes.
it's weird to consider that, you know, people may think how, right? Stuff's coming out now and that happened before. It's like, well, because that's when they were making the stuff that's coming out
Right.
now.
Mhm.
You know, people usually don't always, and I can't blame everyone, but like connect the dots. Production takes some time, you know?
You know, don't be surprised if this year we still feel kind of like the outer waves of the 23 actor strike.
Maybe a little
we
bit,
might.
but I
We
definitely
might.
feel like we're gonna see a resurgence this year at least. I hope.
Yeah. I got
Fingers
you, man.
crossed. Fingers crossed. Well, let's see here, guys. I think that's enough of the whole getting us all sick, right? There's like a weird
let's go
taste
back to
in my mouth
topics.
now. I need a bit of a palate cleanser. And you know what just feels like a very nice palate cleanser? John, you know, I think you'd be the man for this if you could just go ahead and cleanse our palate with the best supporting TV performance.
Ooh, I got you, man. The nominees for Best Supporting TV Performance for the 4th Annual Rubber Duckies are Kristen Milioti for The Penguin, Harrison Ford in Shrinking Season 2, Jessica Gunning in Baby Reindeer, Patty LuPone in Agatha All Along, and Tadanobu Asano for Shogun.
Phenomenal pronunciation of that last one.
I just went for it.
And if that's not proof that that's just what you got to do. You know what I mean, everybody in life, whether you are a movie fan or not, just that John just gave you the proof. Just go for it.
That's
Go
it, baby.
for it.
You want to ask that person out that you like, just go for it. You want to try and make that dish you never made before, just go for it. You want to vote for the Rubber Duckies because you are an awesome person, just go for it. Just go for
That should be our tagline.
it. That's right.
Just go for it.
Life
So
lessons in movies.
All we
The
have to
Cinema
do is
Squad.
let's just make an upside down Nike swoop and then just go for it.
Oh Lord.
Because like that stops all copyright stuff, right?
I
I
guess.
think so. Yeah, just flip it.
At
Give
this
it a
point,
go.
after being on
Go.
YouTube, we are clearly masters of avoiding copyright.
Yes. Except when we're not.
Oh, we just got a notification that we got copyright. Thank you for joining along. Oh gosh.
That 99 balloons in the intro. Damn it.
Some praise here for Shogun, which I am glad to see. It is one of those where I missed out on the majority of it, but from the little bit that I have either seen / heard about, it has gotten nothing but praise as well. John, you are able to speak to this a little bit more, right?
Oh yeah, I am. Because I feel like I'm the only one that saw Shogun.
Hey,
Me, and everyone at the Emmys, all the
Yeah.
industry apparently. Listen, Shogun is a very, very, very smart TV show. It's very intelligent. I think I've mentioned this to you guys. Very unapologetically Japanese as well. It's not for the faint at heart. It's definitely methodically paced. But dude, if it isn't politically intriguing and suspenseful, and the characters all like you think they have a motive, but the motive, they show their real face toward the end, and oh man, what a phenomenal show.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah.
Also, in case you didn't catch it, if he was trying to say if you're stupid, don't watch it. But that is
Right.
really great as far as how smart. Just we don't get too many smart shows. Jokes aside, no, that's awesome, man. Very eloquently described. It already has piqued my interest, but everything that you said has just made me that much more intrigued, and I love that. Right, I love that there's still an area of the entertainment industry that's just so willing to go for it, which pun intended.
Hey.
I swear I didn't even mean to tie that back to what we were just talking about. But like still willing to just kind of do stuff and not be, dare I say, worried about like the perception of this, or are people going to think this? Let's just make a good story, right? And sometimes that story may involve things that ruffle some feathers or rub some people the wrong way, but it's a story. It's not always
Right.
going to please everybody. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, it seems like that is one of the shows to be seen for sure. And can we go ahead and talk about Kristen Milioti here?
We have
Mhm.
to. We have to talk about her because she was amazing in the Penguin. Again, cheap plug. We did a stream on this a little while back, and I'm just gonna mention that for the second time. You guys are welcome to check it out. Yeah, she was great. She was like threatening and just sinister, and she just was able to just have this presence throughout the show. It was just amazing. It held your attention the entire way. Did you were you like rooting for her? I'm just curious, or were you rooting for the Penguin?
Rooting for her.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like
At some points,
It's tough. Yeah. But
because
like,
they're both evil.
yeah, it's one of those shows, yes.
Yeah, and it's tougher because when they were working together for the brief time that they did, they were like a well-oiled machine. Like I felt
yes.
like they were just like yin and yang. You know what I mean? They went together so well, and that's why I made it so much more compelling when they flipped them against each other the way that they did. And yeah, it's weird because like I feel like they did a great job of making it where even if you weren't rooting for her, like I think at the end of the day, I still was always like, come on, Penguin, you're evil, but I guess you're kind of my guy within the show. It was like I never at all felt like, yeah, that's right, get her. She deserves it. Yeah, you get it. It
Right.
was like you wanted to see the back and forth. And yeah, and it's just all a big credit to obviously the way that they wrote her character, but then my goodness, that performance, such subtle things. We talked about as far as Yura from Honora. And his like the subtlety within his performance that spoke so loudly. I feel like Kristen's another great example of this. There's certain little moments where just her eyes would portray so much. She's got such vocal eyes, if that's like a way to phrase it. And yeah, and like a scary perform, like very intimidating for given the fact that she's physically not an intimidating person. And the only last thing that I'll bother throwing out there is when you get a chance to see it all the way through, or without getting too much into the depths of the story, you get a chance to see like how she was prior to being as villainous, dare I say, as she ends up becoming. And my goodness, does she do a great job of representing both? Like they're completely different people. Like it's a transformative thing. And I think that's already impressive enough to play a character believably, let alone play a character that transformed into another version of that character and it still be just as believable.
Agreed.
And I also just wanted to throw in like another nod for Jessica Gunning, who I had to have her on this list. I guess this might be sort of spoilery, but like there was definitely like She was in Baby Reindeer, and it was definitely Kathy Bates sort of vibes. I
Oh
haven't seen
yeah, wow.
an intense performance in many years. Guys, if you haven't seen it, people in the chat, whatever, absolutely check that out. It's a quick watch. It's on Netflix. I think Sean, you probably put me onto that show. Thank you very much. Very good watch. Highly recommended. Her performance alone is also makes it well worth a watch.
Yeah, everyone needs to see that show that hasn't watched it yet.
There has been
Good
definitely
watch.
some good TV this year. That's for sure.
Yes.
And I guess what a better transition since we're, so hyped up about TV right now. My gosh. Sean, can you perhaps follow along with the best leading TV performance?
Oh, I would love to. Best leading TV performance at the 4th Annual Rubber Duckies. We have Kate Blanchett for Disclaimer, Hiroyuki Sanada in Shogun, Colin Farrell in The Penguin, Richard Gadd in Baby Reindeer, and Walton Goggins in Fallout.
I'm so happy we got Walton Goggins in there.
Me too.
Yeah.
Really. Yes. I almost forgot we had him in there. But Fallout was such a great show, and Walton Goggins in it, man. Wow.
He's so good.
Yeah,
Chewing scenery.
He carried that show, in my opinion. Like, I know, I get it. He's maybe not perhaps the I know there's like 3 main focuses for sure, but I feel like they lean a little bit more into the girl's story than anybody else's, perhaps. Like, it kind of
she's great too.
Which, yeah, absolutely, 100%. But yeah, I think with Walton, the one thing is just he does such a good job. Whenever someone has that much prosthetics, where we can simultaneously talk about 2 different people at the same time within this category, whenever you have that much prosthetics and you're still able to convey such a performance, just hats off to you, right? I mean, I think that's such an impressive feat. And if anything, he mentioned about some restrictions that came along with his prosthetics, like as far as the way that he was speaking. He found out that he couldn't move his mouth like the way he wanted to, but he said that actually enabled him to put that into his performance. So he kind of like utilized that as a way as to how he would talk and how it would fit the character. And I just always think that's cool when someone can take a potential negative and flip it into something that benefits them like that. And then, look at and managed to get him into a nomination here.
There you go.
And then do we even need to say anything about Colin Farrell as the Penguin?
At the Golden Globes, he had a joke where he said something about like, well, I guess it's just a fat suit or something like that, and prosthetics. I mean, from here on out, because I mean that's what it is. Everybody absolutely loved him in that show, and I guess we'll get him in a Batman 2 eventually, some year.
Eventually.
Jesus Christ.
Man, I'll go ahead and talk on Hiroyuki Sanada, because talk about an absolute mastermind of a character who was playing everybody on the chessboard. He played both sides, but you didn't even know it. That type of character, that type of evolution, a reveal toward the end that left me going, I need season 2.
So he was like the Emperor Palpatine of Shogun, you say?
Interesting. Palpatine is like pure evil, though.
Well, but no, specifically from the point of he was running both sides behind the scenes.
Sure, something like that.
Okay, so he's Palpatine.
Yeah,
he's Palpatine. Somehow Palpatine's return, and it's Hiroyuki Sanada.
Dude, I swear, next season, if you hear him be like, he's gonna walk up to one of the ninjas. Wait, is there ninjas in the show? I'm sorry.
Samurai.
I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. So he's gonna walk up to one of the samurais and be like, "Execute Order 66." You're gonna be like, "Dude, come on, man, come on." But some great leads that I think are some very transformative performances that strongly carry some already strong TV shows of anything. Of course, major props to the acting behind all this stuff, and then major props to the writing for these people to be able to go ahead and shine as well as they do.
Yeah,
right.
And Richard Gadd especially, he wrote, he was so honest. He was so honest about himself. He was playing himself.
Yes.
He was so honest, and he didn't let anything, he didn't he didn't light it up. Like, he didn't lighten what he did. And, he was kind of a bad guy as well, so
right.
He did that. Yeah.
He didn't let himself off the hook.
Yeah.
He also was self-deprecating in his portrayal of himself, which is extremely hard to do, but I felt like it was so honest. And then of course he gets sued for it, but that's a different story.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
My wife
But yeah,
was so surprised when I told her at the end of the show that not only did he make the show, he's him.
Yeah.
She's like, what? It's so impressive.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like first he lives through the nightmare and then he relives the nightmare and shares it with the rest of us.
Yeah.
That's pretty
yeah, that
impressive.
had to be. I really would like to see like whether it's a documentary or at least just like a behind the scenes thing. I'd love to just hear him break down his mindset of like, what was it like when you were setting this up and filming it? Like, did it
Right.
was it like the most bizarre case of deja vu you could possibly imagine? Like, did it draw up like, I don't know, memories on the spot? Like, did it almost like did you have to stop at any point because it was a little too real?
Mm.
Right.
Because I'm sure some of it had to be.
Of course.
You know, that's what you're aiming
Oh,
for.
Lord.
But yeah, what a great point. Because obviously, what a perfect opportunity to be like, I'm going to paint myself in the perfect light. Everyone's going to think I'm a fucking hero. You know, never did anything bad here. But yeah, it's definitely somewhere. I'm sure that deep down, and it seems like he is smart enough about it, then you have to be able to realize like that wouldn't make a good show though. And at the end of the day, although this is a story and you're just trying to turn that story and adapt it into a show, you have to think about the story of the show. It's just you got to. So with that, I'm sure he realized again, you know, like, hey, I got to be upfront about this. Otherwise, it's just not going to be as compelling of a story. And that's what I want this to be.
Right.
Well, as great of supporting performances and leading performances that we have, that doesn't exactly speak to the show as a whole. So this is where we're going to go ahead and throw it to Mr. Dan here. And Dan, can you please let us know what is up for Best TV Series of the Year?
Yes. So the best television series at the 4th Annual Rubber Duckies. We have Baby Reindeer, Disclaimer, Fallout, Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, The Penguin, Shogun, Shrinking Season 2, Squid Game 2, Skeleton Crew, and X-Men 97.
Yes.
Yay.
What a lineup.
Yes.
Nice to see a bit of love for animation, huh?
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know about you guys, but like, I'm totally fine with all the other things being in here. Of course, they're amazing shows. I just love the fact that a show that is such a big part of, I'm sure, not just mine, but a lot of your childhoods, that could all of a sudden be revived so well to the point where it's nominated for a Rubber Ducky of Best TV show.
Yeah, brother. I mean, you say, oh, how we show a little bit of love to animation. No, brother, I'm showing a lot of love to animation this year because X-Men 97 is one of the best things I've seen this year.
Nice.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's fair to say that you can just already say like, well, if it was best animated shows, that would be its own. But that's speaking volumes to, again, how good it is. It deserves to be up in the same discussion as live action shows,
Right.
because really when you look past just the animation, if you can manage to put that aspect of it to the side and you focus on actual storytelling, character development, character progression and all that type of stuff, it's kind of astonishing what they were able to pull off with that.
Oh, dude, yeah. I don't know how they're going to top it with the second season, but this season was incredible.
Especially since they lost Oda Mayo.
Yeah, I know.
You
I know. So let's see how the stories look like from now. A lot of people are mentioning Squid Game 2. Some people liking that it's here. Some people haven't even seen it yet, which I understand because it came out, I think, the last day of the year or something like that. I don't remember. But I understand why people haven't seen it. All that to say that while there is talk out there from others that may not like season 2, that is not me. And if I can speak for Sean, I know it's not Sean either. I loved season 2 of Squid Game. It is truly, in my opinion, not just because of how it ends, but the overall story and how it's like the Empire Strikes Back of Squid Game.
Well said. Wow. What a comparison.
Yeah.
Wow. Is Palpatine in that as well?
Yep. Hiroyuki Sanada is in it.
Well,
You know
and then
what?
all of a sudden, You'll
No,
see them. Time to play game 66.
No, he's player 66.
I was gonna
Oh,
use it as a transition to kind of work into like a Star Wars skeleton crew type reference because that's a show that I'm loving and managed to kind of get it on this list. And
Nice.
tomorrow's the finale. But yeah, it's good to have some good Star Wars again. So I just want to put that out there. So if you haven't
Nice.
seen Skeleton Crew yet, absolutely check that out. I know we may have been put off. Star Wars fans may have been put off from The Acolyte or the show that we really don't want to talk about too much. But yeah, absolutely check out Skeleton Crew. It's some good stuff. Fans of Goonies, fans of like that 80s Spielbergian type flavor. There's something there for you. Absolutely give that a watch.
Man,
I'm
I
loving
gotta
it
get
so
on it.
far. I think you'll like it, John. Once you guys get around, fully check it out and embrace it, I really do think you'll like it. At least I should say I hope you'll like it.
Gotcha.
Can anybody speak on The Boys season 4?
yes.
like
Yeah, it's one of those where so this goes right back to kind of a point that was made earlier of it's a shame that we can't squeeze even more in there. And this is where it's like we have to come to a compromise of some degree. To be fair, I don't think it was like a huge part of the discussion. I think we kind of felt like pretty good about the choices at hand there. But don't get me wrong, this is absolutely a perfect time to be like, look, if there was honorable mentions, then The Boys would definitely be there without a doubt.
I like the most recent season myself. It was on my list. I ended up, it ended up getting nudged down along the way. Jace, you said it best. Yeah, man, it's tough.
Yeah.
You almost have like a million honorable mentions.
Like, I honestly would have had Agatha all along on here. I would have had Heartstopper, but yeah, you can't. I just love, Baby Reindeer so much.
It's nice
Every
though.
year it proves like there's so much good TV.
Yeah.
And like as much as like I was kind of disappointed in film this year, there was
Yes.
so much good TV. And like I agree with John on Squid Game, by the way. I think everyone needs to watch Squid Game season 2. Even though it ends on a giant cliffhanger, I don't care. It's such a good like second season. It's the best way they could have done a second seain of this show.
Yeah,
in my
I agree. Me too. I'm with you, Sean.
But I also want to bring up Shrinking because I know a lot of people don't have Apple TV, but they should get it because it has Silo and Disclaimer and Presumed Innocent and Severance and Bad Sister. Like such a good lineup of TV shows. But Shrinking is the best show on television right now. Hands down. It has Harrison Ford, Jason Segel. It is funny. It is heartbreaking. It is like one of those shows that you're literally going to cry in every episode, but also like laugh out loud. Like it's that great of a show. It's from the creators of Ted Lasso and Scrubs. So it's a special show. I hope more people begin to discover it because I hope it continues.
If you guys are ready, and if you'll indulge me, I do have my first of 2 rounds of stats.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the purpose of this is trying to predict what's going to win best TV series, right?
Okay.
That being said, since the beginning, I'm not going to count the first year because the first year Squid Game won best TV show with nothing else behind it because it was the only category for TV. Was just best TV show. So there's nothing to go off of that other than congratulations, Squid Game, for the first year.
Yeah.
Aside from that, every year since, including this year, we've had 3 categories. All right. So the first year, 2023, when we had multiple categories, House of the Dragon season 1 won best television show, right? Okay. House of the Dragon also had the most nominations alongside Better Call Saul, Handmaid's Tale, and that was it. House of the Dragon also had the most wins for TV with 2 wins, and then it ended up winning Best TV. Last year, The Bear won Best TV. The Bear was also the most nominated. The Bear also had the most wins, and it won Best TV. So if there is a through line here, is that you have to at least have 1 acting win. If you have 1 acting win, you will be winning Best TV show. Right?
Well, then technically speaking, we can throw like because now there's the hidden gem category, or not hidden gem. I'm sorry, but
Surprise.
surprise. Yeah, best surprise. So I mean,
Now, I have this year's as well, Jace. The most nominated TV show that we have this year is The Penguin with 4 nominations, including one that's outside of TV. That being said, that is the front runner to win
Yeah.
best TV show for the Rubber Duckies right now. Is The Penguin.
I like
Oh
these
my gosh.
prognostics, but do not let this sway you.
Oh,
You
please
vote with
do
your
not.
heart, people. You vote with your
Exactly.
heart.
You vote with your heart for the Penguin.
No, the Penguin's great, but
No, that's awesome. Hey, no, good. That is cool as far as to see is right how things have
Yeah.
pieced together before, and to see if history will repeat itself to
Yeah.
that extent and everything. So yeah, I mean, right? You never know, and I could see why because when it has so much love in so many different places, it's kind of on your brain the most.
Right.
you know what I find really interesting about your stats, though, John, is that The Bear, which won last year, and House of the Dragon, which won 2 years ago for Best TV Series, both had new seasons this year
Goose
and are
egg.
not even nominated.
Here's a
Yes.
goose egg. Here's a goose egg.
Yeah.
So
Which means that
they both
Penguin
had a little
season
bit of
2
a
is gonna
rocky season.
suck.
yeah,
Could
Oh
be.
Lord. Listen, I actually didn't really care for The Bear season 3.
I didn't care for it either.
Yeah.
That's what
Well, for what it's worth, I did like season 2 of House of the Dragon. Didn't quite make the list, but I did like it. But a lot of mixed reviews on that one as well.
Yeah, it was a little too much of a walk in a circle. I
Yeah.
think that's
Yep.
what
Yep.
it came down to. There are certain things that are complained about that I don't think deserve as much like smack talk as what's being given towards it. But at the same time, yeah, I can't sit here and defend it too much. Still entertaining. Yeah, still entertaining. Like I don't feel like I regret watching it per se. However, it's a bit risky of a move to do that type of a story after the delay from season 1 and then knowing there's the a couple year gap before season 3. That's the only part where it's like there should have been a little bit more they gave us ideally. The only other part real quick when it comes to TV shows and how they're ending, you guys had mentioned about Squid Game. I haven't seen the second season yet, but with this whole talk about it ending on a cliffhanger, you know what? I haven't even seen the cliffhanger and I'm already going to go ahead and throw out a little bit of defense for it. I don't understand where this hate derives from for things ending on a cliffhanger like that.
Yeah.
It's to build up intrigue, more intriguement is if I'm describing that right. It's to make you more intrigued.
Intrigue.
Yeah, and it's mostly to just kind of keep you as far as on the edge of your seat to want more. Now, am I advocating that they always have a cliffhanger for everything? No, it doesn't always work, right? And it could be played out if you do it too much. But when you look at things like Squid Game season 2, you already know season 3's around the corner. And if you don't, guess what? Season 3's around the corner, right?
Yeah.
And then as far as another perfect example from relatively recently, Across the Spider-Verse, right? Ends on a huge cliffhanger. Everyone's like, oh my gosh. Well, I get it. It may not be instantaneous, but you know that Beyond the Spider-Verse is coming. In other words, I guess my main point is cliffhangers are a really cool thing if they've left you in a position where you're like, oh, I'm devastated. I need to see what happens. Good. That means it did its job. What you should be devastated by is if there's ever a cliffhanger and then the show or movie never continues. Right?
Yeah.
It never gets a sequel or it never gets another season. Oh, there you go. Well, okay. Now, so say, right? Perfect.
On that note,
Right on the same page there. Right on the same page.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, biggest thing is I agree wholeheartedly. If you don't know if there's going to be a continuation, then yeah, that sucks. It's like, what are you doing?
I think that's why people have such an annoyance with cliffhangers, though, because Netflix is so quick to be like, let's put out this great show and it has a cliffhanger for a season 2, and then we're going to discontinue it or cancel it or whatever. And then so people are sick of cliffhangers because they're not getting any sort of like satisfaction from any kind of satisfying ending.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel like that's why people don't like it now, because like these studios are so quick to cancel shows if they haven't caught on yet.
And
Right.
something like Stranger Things that's taking 8 years or whatever.
Or that.
In
Like,
between
Jesus
seasons.
Christ. Like, when did Stranger Things, the last season, come out? I felt like I was 5 years old.
I
I think
think
I was a freshman in high school.
yeah.
Like,
They're all going to come back with like receding hairlines and beer guts. You guys, you see that crazy monster over there? Hold on, I'm still burping up some black goo.
Also, I have homework. I'm a junior in high school.
Yes.
Guys, you know I can't be out this late chasing these demons. I got to pick up the kid from soccer practice. Oh gosh, that'll be a great season. Great way to end it. You know,
It'd be interesting.
well, you know, although it may not be scary shows, there is something spooky to get into next.
Yes.
Ooh.
Hey, Jace. Yeah, what's up? Can you maybe tell us what's up for best horror? Yeah, I really wish you'd stop bothering me. I'm kind of in the middle of hosting something, but sure, let's go for it. Nominees for best horror for this year's Rubber Duckies, folks, is Heretic, Late Night with the Devil, Longlegs, Nosferatu, and The Substance.
Oh, what a year.
What
What
a
a year.
I feel like I say it every year, but I think like this is like the best year for horror. I don't know. I'm sure I said that last year.
Yes.
But I'm feeling it again
Yes,
this year.
Anthony.
I don't know.
I am with you. You know what I saw the other day as I was working, because I like to watch some of our old videos as I'm at work. The Halloween stream, the Halloween party from this past year, where I said this year was great in horror, and y'all disagreed.
Hey,
Maybe,
And
at
it
that,
was.
maybe at that time
That
like,
again?
there wasn't some out or something like that yet. I wonder what it was.
Say that again, Sean.
Wait, was that like a couple of months ago?
Yeah, the one in October, the Halloween stream.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
See, we collectively
the more you look
agreed.
over the horror films from this year, man, like there were
Fire.
so many good ones.
fire, bro.
Yeah,
I
we
like-
just collectively agreed at that moment that we can't let John be right. So we all have to gaslight him
Hey,
into thinking that he's,
I did win the trivia game that night, so
and that was our spite.
There you go.
listen, Jays, I want to give you some credit here, but honestly, this would have been a great year, and maybe this is something we should implement whenever there's a really, really good year for a specific genre. But you said this is a year where we could have done 10 top 10 horror films.
Yeah, there was legitimately that many good choices like this. That was gonna be the first thing I was gonna shout out right away from after saying the nominations was I can't get over how I think it may be fair to say that out of all of the categories, this was the one that we had to put the most on the chopping block. There was like the most that was up there that it's like, oh my God, like this could be in there, that could easily be in there. I feel really confident about the ones that we landed on, and I think that that's a great set of nominations. I hope everybody in the audience agrees. But oh my gosh, you know, this is one where it'd be nice to be able to spew out a whole bunch of honorable mentions because they have just been on fire. I actually think, personally speaking, that there's been better horror movies this year than any other genre of stuff that's come out.
Man, maybe, yeah. I have to think about it, but this doesn't
There's
sound
also
wrong.
been some horrible, like Blumhouse has dropped some stinkers this year. Let's be real, but there's been so many good ones as well.
Yeah, I put that up at the wrong time when he was talking about sinkers. But I'm the only one that liked I Saw the TV Go. So
I haven't seen it yet.
I'm the only one that saw it.
I hate it.
Yeah,
Almost made worse film. Almost.
and I would have
I
loved
just,
that to happen.
I with that director, I saw like me and Dan were one of the first people to see. Didn't you see it at Sundance, Stan?
No, I saw it at theater. Oh no,
Oh, okay. Their first film that they made.
I never saw it. I didn't end up seeing it. We're
We're all going to the World's Fair, and I hated that movie. It was my least favorite film from that year, and I kind of feel the same way about I Saw the TV Glow. I feel bad. It's just not my. It just that director's what they're doing. I appreciate it. I see what they're doing, and I love it. But I cannot get behind the movies that they're making. So that's just my opinion.
And
I love that. That's such a nice way to put it. I love everything they're doing. Just God, I hate it so much though. Stop. I just don't enjoy it.
We didn't like Terrifier 3 enough. Like it was good. It was good.
What a way to start it though. I mean, it's to be fair, you're not wrong, right? You're not wrong. Terrifier, I think one thing that could be agreed upon is it's like as far as slashers go, it's like some top tier slasher stuff for sure. I just think that, when we're comparing it just as a movie, right? Like an overall film, not just strictly like were there a lot of really brutal kills. That not in itself is what puts it up for best horror. It's like, was it a best, like, again, scary movie altogether? And at the end of the day, I think the Terrifier movies are more of like a really fun thrill ride as opposed to like a movie. And that's not to take anything away from it per se, but when you compare it to others that are in the category, I think that's the only reason why honorable mention. Yeah.
I think we nominated it for best horror film for Terrifier 2.
Yeah.
So I love Terrifier 2. I think Terrifier 3, just in my opinion, was a step down storytelling wise. I still really enjoyed it, but compared to all these original films that we're celebrating right now, it just didn't really hit the mark.
Yeah, like I would have put Oddity in, would be my next pick that I would. Yeah.
Smile too also was a tough one for me to give up on, but like the substance just had, I had to get the nod for me. But so yeah, just a great year for horror. Like when I look at the list, it feels like this is a lot of personal favorites for like between the five of us, right? But there's definitely some shared love, like Dan and I have Oddity, but yeah, we even between the two of us, we couldn't quite get it on a list. But still, highly recommend Oddity. Another honorable mention. I think it's on Shudder.
Yes. Also, let us know, guys, if you think that we should make best horror film give it 10 slots next year. Let us know because we can change that. Just let us know in the comment section.
Yeah. Your opinion matters. Obviously, you decide the entirety of the winners of this thing. So, feel free to throw that on out there. Let's see, as we move on to the next one up here, Anthony, it is back over to you. If you could do us the honors of telling us the nominations for Best Animated Film.
Best Animated. All right, this is a fun one. And look at all of these fun picks that we have here. Best Animated Film. First up, we have Flow, Inside Out 2, Transformers 1, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and my pick, The Wild Robot.
Oh, yes.
Another great year for animated films. Absolutely.
I think that for most people, if you were to say, would you guess that Wallace and Gromit would be on here? I feel like a lot of people may guess there's not even a Wallace and Gromit movie that came out this year, was there? But I say that to just be aware. I say that as like a cool.
Obviously, yes, Jace.
No, I just say it more so as a jokingly being very facetious, but like as a pleasant surprise because that's a franchise that's been around for like how long has it been around for now?
Since the 80s.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I mean. Is like how cool that after being around for so long, coming out with another film. At least I didn't personally hear much about it prior to it coming out. So I thought it was cool that it not just was able to come out, keep that IP going, but then also apparently then be good enough to be thrown to this category. Nice.
I love Wallace and Gromit, and I thought this movie for me was like a return to form for Aardman Studios. I think the last Chicken Run was kind of and I don't know. They've had some like not as great films, but this one was really special. I liked it.
Yeah, it was really fun, and I just want to talk about this. That probably literally would have been 6. That would have been if we had 6.
Probably.
Memories of a Snail probably would have been next. It was good.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have Inside Out 2 here, the highest grossing film of 2024. So that's good. But I love The Wild Robot. That is such a special film for me. The fact that it hits everybody, but for those who are parents, it's gonna demolish you. Like it's that good.
I mean, not being a parent, like it literally, like it made me feel like more connected to my mom, and like in like a really beautiful way. And I don't know, that movie, like it hits every mark that it needs to. Like it is beautiful to look at, and it is so heartwarming. I love that film.
Well, it's definitely not something that you always hear like about animation. And I'm not saying that that doesn't always come up. I just mean, right, generally people, again, like we were talking about the X-Men 97, they usually just, you know, they can't get past the whole, but it's animated, it's for kids, it's, you know, whatever. And they kind of just like frown upon it a little bit or look past it. There's some really, really powerful messages that can come across within that stuff, and certain things that they can obviously pull off that they wouldn't be able to in live action as well.
Yeah, like I think Inside Out 2 and Wild Robot, you even get more enjoyment the older you are.
Yeah, Inside Out too. My gosh, there's one thing we in the group chat that we have constantly referred to as far. There's one line in particular from that movie that gets the most recognition, which is the saddest line from that movie. So it's not really a spoiler of anything, but just be prepared and make sure you're sitting down and you've got all your heartstrings intact because they're about to be tugged. There's just this part where the character of Joy is like more or less finding her way back to help out with the rest of the emotions. And in the midst of that, and when she thinks that she's lost and that maybe Joy can't come back, she's like, maybe this is just how it is. And you feel less joy when you grow up. And it was just like, shut up. I wasn't planning on crying during a kid's movie. Thanks. Why does that have to be so relatable? Why can't we all sit back and be like, could you imagine if life was that miserable? But good for them for being able to go ahead and hit the nail on the head with that one there.
Yeah.
Well, let's see here. Within animation and even live action sometimes, we tend to always notice certain things from characters the most because perhaps of how they vocalize that stuff. Which I dare say is the best transition I've had of the evening to get us into the best vocal performance. Jonathan, would you mind telling us what's up for best vocal performance?
Yes, sir. Mr. Vocal Performance himself. The nominees for the new category that you guys voted for, Best Vocal Performance for the 4th Annual Rubber Duckies, are Orenzi Keene for Tuesday, Kevin Durant for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Lupita Nyong'o for The Wild Robot, Matthew Watterson for X-Men 97, and Maya Hawke for Inside Out 2.
Great choices all around. Great choices all around. There's some that it's funny because in some situations I feel like with vocal performances they're not really doing as much of a character as more of like a exaggerated version of themselves, aka Maya Hawke, as far as anxiety. I think it's one of those, again, I wouldn't think that if you heard her speak you would think, oh yeah, she's really doing a character voice. But I mean that in not a bad way whatsoever, because even though using her regular voice, she still very much is an accentuated version of that and becomes a character that fits anxiety very well. Then you've got things that are insanely transformative, like, forgive me for not being able to pronounce that name correctly or knowing if I am, but the dude from Tuesday, the bird. Like, that is such a, that's something where I don't know what that person really speaks like, but I can't imagine it's like that. Otherwise, their throat would be hurting on a regular basis.
It's such an intimidating, like, powerful voice. Like, you just can't forget it after you watch that movie.
Yeah, being someone who is an enormous fan, lover, appreciator of vocal work, I thought it was really cool. You would think that I would have been the one that thought of this category. Shout out to John because he did. And it's just something where but I'm so happy that I got in there. It was one of those where I had never been happier for something that I came up with to not win.
Hey, something else, man, is it's not just animated voice work here. We have motion capture work from Kevin Durant. That's also, when it comes to vocal performance, it includes motion capture work. I mean, if this was all the way back in 2003, Gollum would have made it too.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
100%.
Kevin Durant did great in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. He basically became a meme. Yeah, in the best of ways.
And I also love the fact that if you guys check out any interviews of him, like doing any press for the film, I personally really enjoy when voice actors are not afraid to like do the voice whilst doing like either interviews or what, you know what I mean? Like they just kind of let it loose here and there. And you could tell he was like excited to do it all the time because he would just snap into it from time to time. And yeah, it's just really entertaining, and I think it's a great voice. So I'm glad he used it as much as he could.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, Brian Tyree Henry voiced Megatron. He was really good. But yeah, like we said, we only have 5 slots, so we can only nominate.
Yeah, I mean, I was like thinking about Robbie Williams for Better Man as well. Shout
Yeah.
out to Sin. I
Yeah.
was thinking about doing him. I know that was like a duo performance, though. There was another actor who worked
Yeah.
with him on that. So I mean, once again, it's like there's so many great choices, but we just have to pick 5.
Yeah.
It is one of the toughest parts about doing this job, but someone's got to do it. So you're all very welcome for our efforts. Let's see here. As great as it is to talk about those amazing vocal performances and the individuals that happen to bring it to life, there's also something to be said about the groups that can bring things to life, like the
Yes.
ensembles. Hey, Sean, can you go ahead and tell us all about the best ensemble choices?
I would love to. Best acting ensemble in a film from 2024 is Honora, His Three Daughters, Deadpool and Wolverine, Saturday Night, and Wicked.
Oh my goodness. I love that. I love this lineup. I got to
Yeah, I do
look
too.
back at some previous years, but this is such a good one for us.
I agree.
Yeah, it's
no.
funny how like watching this tonight, I'm like, yeah, I'm curious about last year and the previous years. And
Right.
real quick, Saturday Night, I just want to say, my God, like such an intense performance all around from so many people. It was such a chaotic movie, but yet everybody held their own, and all of the players are like just a little bit before my time. However, I have been watching Saturday Night Live for like a million years. So some of the people I am familiar with, and just across the board, so many of them nailed those parts perfectly. I don't know all of the actors' names. However, I could tell you Chevy Chase. I could tell you like all of these different people. Gilda Radner, I believe, was in there. We ended up even with Jim Henson showed up, and it was just like across the board, they all seemed spot on.
Yeah, man.
I love it. So it's just great performances all around. Dude, that's my absolute pick. I'm hoping that gets it, but we'll see what happens.
It's not about names, Anthony. You know that. We know that. It's not about names. Last year we had Society of the Snow nominated for ensemble, and I still don't know anybody's name from that movie because it's just about how did everybody work together.
You just know, I don't know the name of the person, but yeah, I know that you played Chevy Chase and you were great. Yeah.
Right. But not even just the individual performances, but how was everybody together in harmony, right? And man, yes, Saturday Night is a great example of that. I go to Honora, which even though Honora does have some big names in Mackie Madison, and we nominated Yura Borisov, who at the time wasn't that big of a name, but there's other people there. I still don't know their names, but it is such a chaotic and fun ensemble. It's like I had to put it.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's a great way of phrasing it.
Karagulian in Honora is so good. He's the bishop. Is that what he would be called?
I guess.
He's in every single one of Sean Baker's movies. And this is like his best role ever that he's gotten, and like his biggest role. And it's so cool to see him getting his flowers a little bit. Not that he's getting like awards, but like just getting, recognition for his performance in Honora.
Right.
He's been a great actor in all of his films for, over a decade. So,
yeah.
And then with Sin saying September 5, yes, that is a great ensemble as well. Definitely honorable mention for sure.
And then as far as other things within here, good old Deadpool and Wolverine, just going to at least quickly make a mention of it. Just a nice little surprise, the fact that I think it's safe to say we are well past spoiler territory. I won't say too much just in case, but what I really like is the performances that were, I guess, more anticipated to be just cameos, became more supporting characters, and with a pretty decent role attached to it, and because of that allowed it to create this really cool ensemble that we actually felt like was fitting to call an ensemble instead of just, hey, look, there was a lot of fun people that popped up in the background.
Right.
And yeah, just all around like that, just same thing, worked together very well, right? Kind of a oddball mix. I would have never imagined seeing those particular groups of heroes on screen together, but man, it worked and I loved it.
There was a bit of like an outcast feeling, like for pretty much all of them across the board. Like these people from franchises that are gone, and maybe some of them were B characters, yet they all work so well, and within this framework of the movie. I loved it, and it was great that we finally got a decent Gambit on screen. All right,
Oh
Spoilers.
from 9 months ago.
No, and not just that. How cool is it to the fact of, I know it's like kind of not talked about so much, but you don't know what's happening in the background. But right, it caused like so much buzz that it got to the point where people were like, "Yo, bring him in as Gambit." Like, for all we know, we might actually see more of him as Gambit in the future. To what degree, we have no idea. If at all, we have no idea. But the fact that it's even like spoken about because it created that much of a pop, is I just think really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see here. You know what else is really cool? Our next topic. So, moving along. Since we got a great ensemble, usually what makes these ensembles work so well together is if they have some good words to follow along with. Like the screenplay of these things.
Yes.
Dan, if you could do us a favor of letting us know what's up for best screenplay.
Yes. Let's see. So best screenplay: A Real Pain by Jesse Eisenberg, Anora, Sean Baker, My Old Ass, Megan Park, Saturday Night, Gil Keenan and Jason Reitman, and The Substance, Corley Fargo. Farjay. Yeah. All right. And those are the nominees for best screenplay at the 4th Annual Rubber Duckies.
Love
It's
it.
actually Fargeet.
Solid list.
Fargeet. Yeah.
Someone feel free to phonetically spell that in the comments for us. That'd be great.
Yes, please do.
And sorry in advance. You directed a great movie. If you're watching this,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
oh my
Wrote
gosh,
and
if you are,
directed a great movie. Let's be real.
yes. Wrote. I'm sorry, wrote a good movie. And yes, I said directed, I believe. Anyway, with this screenplays, my gosh, guys, it's something that I think gets overlooked a lot. We focus so heavily on the things that we see so much more, and that makes a lot of sense, right? Like the stars of these movies tend to take so much of the credit of these films, and the stuff that happens behind the camera, it's getting more and more and more recognition. But I feel like this is one of those things that just can always be looked past a bit more than it should be. So I love that we've got it in here. And there's some really, really nice screenplays that we have as far as up for this. There's some nice ones that we had to unfortunately kind of leave to the side. But I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? Has it been a strong screenplay year?
Oh my God, yes.
Lord,
Yes.
yes.
There's
It really
so many
has.
films. Like I have a hard time with this one because like there's a lot of movies where I was like the direction was good, but the writing was so memorable. And like for me, I feel like A Real Pain is very much so that. Like the directing by Jesse Eisenberg it's good. He's really good director. But that screenplay is so damn good.
Yeah.
And it does so many surprising things with its two main characters, but also My Old Ass and Megan Park, like two incredible original screenplays back to back with this and then The Fallout. Like, I mean, she's killing it, and I can't wait to see what she does next. But I hope people watch My Old Ass. I know that's another kind of movie that not a lot of people have heard of.
Schofield, yes. Even though it didn't make it into the film, he was in the rainforest with my I don't know.
He was in the rainforest when my mother died researching spiders.
Yeah, right before she died. Right
before she died researching spiders. Yeah.
Oh, this is the best one. The best thing about the future?
It hasn't happened yet. That's perfect. Perfect.
Or Craven. In Craven, Ariana DeBose is like. Then she passed away shortly after, and I haven't seen her since.
They just want to keep the rights to Spider-Man, bro. That's it.
No,
That's all they want.
favorite.
That's all they want.
Because they knew some dweeb on YouTube was going to pick it apart and be like, so why hasn't she seen her since?
Lord.
Tarantino could never. Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
He could only imagine.
And
yeah, I'm sure.
I hope Ariana DeBose gets better scripts this year.
Please.
I mean, Love Hurts looks promising because she's literally 3 of her movies that she's in are in my bottom 15.
Yeah, she picks terrible movies.
Yeah,
Like someone needs to fire her agent. She just won an Oscar.
yeah,
Like she's an incredible actress. Like, oh God. She like is pulling a Halle Berry almost.
yeah.
Where Halle Berry just started a bunch of like really bad movies after she won her Oscar. Like, oof.
Maybe they're obligated to do that. It's part of the contract. They're like, look, we'll give you the Oscar if you just star in a bunch of crap for a few years after this. We can't have you winning too many Oscars right after another. All right, just take it easy. Take it easy. Let's see here. If we keep this momentum going, guys, what do you say we get on over to Best Director?
Ooh.
So Jace.
That's right. It's on myself. Oh my gosh. The very first one. Whew. What do we decide on, Coralie?
Where did we land on that?
Coralie
I think
Farge?
Farge?
I
Oh
don't
God,
know.
that one's hard.
Coralie Farge.
What John said for the substance. Denis Villeneuve. It's amazing how I have an easier time saying that name. For Dune Part 2. Wow, this is just, we are on a roll here. Luca.
Guadagnino.
Yep, there you go. Thank you, Dan, for the challengers. Osgood Perkins for Long Legs and Sean Baker for Honora.
They get easier as you go on.
Yeah, so first, I'm going to need all you directors to do me a big favor and just get easier names. Right? And second, props for directing the movies that you have, because, obviously you're not in this category for no reason. No challengers or Hundreds of Beavers. I am sorry, because if I didn't know any better, I would swear that Hundreds of Beavers is not a real movie. That sounds...
No, it is.
I know, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think I'm the only one that saw it anyway.
But here's challengers for you.
Yes.
There you go.
That's right. No, yeah, as far as with directing, it is something that it becomes, I think, very easy to not stand out much with this, and that's not even a bad thing. You could be a really good solid director and just kind of not be too noticed because you're just doing like the regular things people expect and anticipate. So to stand out for your vision of how you're directing stuff, especially right in this day and age when we've seen so much, I feel like really is saying something. So yeah, I mean, any maybe predictions for this particular category?
Oh, dude, I don't think so. No, I don't have any predictions.
I feel like Luca killed it with challengers. And that movie is so, I mean, Patrick just said Challengers was dynamic and very fun. Like that movie could have been like kind of bland, but the way he directs that movie, it's so alive.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack and like the camera angles and everything that like, it's an incredible movie. And then also Denis, who's not getting any love from the awards bodies, deserves it. Because what he did with Dune Part 2 is, it cannot be denied what he did.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy he's here.
Better than the first one.
That's actually potentially my prediction. Not just solely from like a personal how I feel about it, from more so what I'm expecting the masses to kind of lean into and choose. Not like there's obviously not other good options, but I just think altogether to be able to take something that is such on a grand scale like that, and portray it well, where you can follow it. You don't feel like you're lost. You're really invested, and it feels so lived in, even though it's an entire galaxy of, fictional characters and worlds. Definitely it goes a long way. And I think he did a great job at it. A lot of epicness to the entirety of it. And I think that makes it stand out a lot. Plus, I just think a lot of people have seen Dune 2, and I think that in itself also kind of pushes for maybe having a leg up.
Yeah.
But that'll be the second time. That'll be the second time because Denis Villeneuve won Best Director at the first ever Rubber Duckies for Dune.
Ooh.
He did. So this could be the second time.
Yeah.
I don't want to discount Coralie Farge, whatever, for the substance, though. Like, that is a bold, original vision, and no one can say otherwise.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also don't want to discount.
If you're not a
Sean
fan
Baker.
of the movie, you have to give it that much. I'm sorry. I mean,
no, you're good. You're good. No. You can't discount Sean Baker. He's not a stranger to the Rubber Duckies. He was there. I think it was the second year we did the Rubber Duckies for Red Rocket.
For Red Rocket.
And his movie won Best Hidden Gem that year. Right.
Nice.
And then here he
So
comes
good.
along with Honora, which is such a refined version of his dynamic sort of taste. Like this
Style.
is his style. Thank you, Dan. Yeah, like this is what Honora is for him. It's so raw, it's so real. We talk about Tarantino, and I would say to a very similar wavelength, Sean Baker's the same way, man. He doesn't need improv. He just knows how to write and direct characters.
And that's all
I
you need.
completely agree. And I mean, he's one of my favorite filmmakers. I did a ranking of all of his movies on my channel. I love him. I think that he has such a fresh voice in Hollywood when so many people are kind of like, oh, let me make a Jurassic World movie or a
Okay.
Marvel movie or this or that, which
Okay.
I mean, it's a paycheck. Do what you want to do. But like Sean Baker, like always is unapologetically himself. And I think people are finally getting to see that this year with Honora. So I love it.
Yes.
Well, and as we have some standout directors to lead the way for these films and make sure that these people are doing what they need to do, of course, you need the people to do the things that the directors are asking them to do. So as we approach our last couple of categories here, Anthony, if I can pass it along to you, my friend, and see who we've got for best leading actor in a film.
Alrighty.
Oh, leading actor. Wait.
There we are.
There we go.
Best leading actor. All right. And wow, would you take a look at this list? First up, we have Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, Kyle Gallner from Strange Darling, Nathan Stewart Jarrett from Femme, and Timothy Chalamet for Dune Part 2.
Yay.
What an amazing.
Very nice.
I will just start off, but I'll just say real quick, Kyle Gallner is my pick. I absolutely love this dude's performance. Maybe there's like a little bit of a recency bias kind of going on with me, but I thought he was amazing in Strange Darling. I can't really say too much about that movie. Those who have seen it will know why, but I will just say he's wonderful in that. Just a another very intense performance in a very intense film. That's all I'll say about it. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Very intense indeed.
Yes.
I will say this. As unfair as I am going to sound, and I understand I'm going to sound so unfair right now, but if any of y'all saw The Brutalist or see it before Rubber Duckies Night, Adrian Brody is the best performance in that 5 lineup. Just saying. And I know it's unfair, right? Because it's all opinions. But I honestly believe that if you guys saw The Brutalist, whatever you think about the movie, whatever, right? We can talk about the movie. Performance-wise, Adrian Brody's the best performance from a male last year.
Yeah.
There are certain, it's funny because, you bring it up in the joking way about how, like, right, hey, it's opinion. Still, right, as we can all say, I was just saying to myself earlier, that's right. But you know what I will say to kind of back you up a little bit here?
Sure.
I think that sometimes there are objective things within the subjective. In other words, I think you may have not preferred his performance the most. You may not, enjoy the performance overall per se. But I think that it could still be like agreed upon of like, but that is the most standout performance.
Right, right.
There's a lot of shows, movies, whatever, of like, you could still just kind of agree of like, all right, look, wasn't my cup of tea, but that dude just went for it. I feel like that should be our new thing now. Is that like our new thing? We need to create a graphic, and every time we say it, just went for it, goes across the screen. But just go for it.
That's this year's Rubber Duckies tagline. 4th annual Rubber Duckies.
Just go for it.
Just go for it.
Yes.
What a switch.
I love it.
But yeah, that was the whole point. I wasn't really trying to say much of
That's
anything.
very well said, man. Very well said.
Yeah, all right. Any other thoughts, particularly about the leading actors?
I would love to shout out Nathan Stewart Jarrett in Femme. I know this is probably a film that not a lot of people have seen, But we have Best Supporting Actor, Best Actor as well. This is definitely kind of like Strange Darling. Like it's like a two-hander with two incredible performances in the middle of it. And Nathan Stewart Jarrett, what his character goes through in that film is insane. And just seeing the progression of his character throughout it is heartbreaking and transformative. And I mean, it's such a good film. So I hope people check it out. I really do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know you were really fighting for it for a few categories when it came to
Yeah.
the nomination. So yeah, it's definitely something where at times like that, I feel bad that I had not gotten around to it. So
It's okay. We have time before
Just-
voting ends.
I know, but shame on me for not getting in before nominations. You know, we always do our best effort, right? There's a lot of things that come out, and you know, until we've gotten through a good chunk of the year, we don't always know 100% as far as like what to recommend to each other, or what are the main things to be looking out for. So, you know, we're always trying. I think we got a good amount in this year.
Oh yeah.
I think collectively we did
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Dan did enough for all of us.
Yeah, that's true.
And give yourself credit too, Jason. You knocked out a whole bunch of movies and TV shows.
You did.
I was gonna say, I'd like to think that after a gap, started off the year strong, had a bit of a gap, and then ended on a nice note. So thank you. Oh, Sin,
sure.
thank you for being here as long as you could have been. Thankfully, there's only 2 more categories to be announced here as far as for nominations, so it's not like you got much to catch up on the rewatch. Because I know you're going to be rewatching this, right, Sin? Right? You're going to rewatch this, please. Okay, cool.
Share it
so-
and all of that.
Yeah. And of course, right, share it on every single social media page and everybody that you talk to in person and all that type of stuff. That's just, you know,
Yeah.
where it's just natural common courtesy. Sin, you are great. We appreciate your support. Moving on from leading actor, we have leading actress. And John, if you do the honors for us.
All righty. The nominees for Best Leading Actress in a Motion Picture for the 4th Annual Rubber Duckies are Cynthia Erivo, Wicked; Demi Moore, The Substance; Mikey Madison, Honora; Pamela Anderson, The Last Showgirl; and Willa Fitzgerald for Strange Darling. I like this one more.
I love this one.
Again, what a bunch of, and powerhouse performances from like
Yep.
everyone there. Just
Yes,
across the board.
yeah.
Wow.
John, actually, can I ask you, would you mind?
Schofield.
Thank you, man.
Oh, Schofield, good seeing you as always, bud. Thank you for
Yeah,
being
thank
here.
you very much.
Ooh, nice prediction. Nice prediction.
Ooh,
I know.
got some stubborn.
John, again, I know that, right? This is more opinion based than anything, but what led you to say that? Because not that I even disagree. I just more so want to hear your elaboration on, like, right, you feel like this is I'm guessing you meant in direct competition to the actor, that leading actress is standing out a little more.
Right. I think it has to do with what I was talking about, how if you all see The Brutalist, if everybody saw The Brutalist, I think it's really easy who the best actor was. Did I break up or anything? Sorry, my connection.
you're good.
No, we got
Sorry,
it.
I'm
sorry.
just trying to figure out
Sorry.
what your through line is.
Sorry. So if everybody were to see The Brutalist, Adrian Brody would be the best performance. If everybody were to see every single film here, I don't know who would win.
That's true.
Yeah.
I have my preference. I have my
Dan,
preference.
tell everybody
Hey.
because you've seen every movie.
Hey,
Um,
Nassim is
Here's
here.
the same. Great prediction, by the way.
Yeah,
Hello.
great.
Hi.
I love that Pamela Anderson is in here.
I do
Because
too.
yeah, she was amazing. She was really great. And she has a similar story to Demi Moore, kind of how she's a legend. You know, she was been in a lot of
Right.
stuff. And this is one of her, if not her best performance. So I'm really happy she's in here.
I also think like both Demi and Pamela were kind of mistreated in Hollywood for a long time, and they were kind of segregated, like they were just like popcorn actresses to be in blockbuster movies, or like there for their looks or their body. And like to have 2 movies come out in the same year where they both show their range and what they're capable of, I just like I am so enamored by both Demi and Pamela for both of those performances. And like I'm gonna have such a hard time choosing between the 2 of them because they're both incredible.
Well, and I'm glad at least that Demi Moore got an award for this, and
Yes,
just an award in general, because I was not aware of it until she got that award, that she had never won an award for anything before. And I was just like, what?
I know her speech.
I know, right? Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
So
she has a
good.
great speech.
Yeah, that's just, it's kind of bizarre to think about. And also just goes to show, it's like, well, sometimes really good performers, that doesn't always mean immediately that they get the rewards. So,
Yeah.
that's awards. So that's why we want to do this, because maybe there's some people in the audience that are like, I don't exactly agree with that choice. And now you have the power in your hands.
Correct.
That's what we like so much about this. But yeah, great performances all around. And last but not least here, guys, I think we can wrap up very well. And Sean, you have the honors here. If you can please let us know, Best Picture, what's going on?
Let's get
Best
it.
picture.
Oh my goodness. Best Picture for the 4th annual Rubber Duckies Film and TV Awards are A Real Pain, Anora, Challengers, Deadpool and Wolverine, Dune Part 2, Femme, Ghostlight, Sing Sing, The Substance, and Wicked.
Wicked. Yeah.
Oof.
I love all these movies.
Yeah.
It's so unique. Everything there too is just like wildly different.
I know.
It really, it's all over the place.
Yeah,
We were
there's a
just
lot of
missing
variety
an
here. That's very
animated
well
film.
said.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
yeah.
I don't
With
even know where
that,
to start.
I think that's actually a great place to kick off, is just how much variety there happens to be in here. I think one of the things that it almost can become disappointing is if there was, let's just say, right, horror, such a dominating force this year, as we were talking about. But obviously, you don't want to just see all horror films up for Best Picture. That's why it's kind of nice that there's a separate category for it. So my point being is, when you don't have something that's so specific, you have a little bit of a broader subject. It's nice to see as much variety. It's really cool that we've got so many different movies from so many different genres that are good enough to stand toe to toe with each other in this category. There's another one where I'll throw out there just as a question, guys, maybe to just kind of get some thoughts conjuring up of like predictions. I know we haven't said it for many of any of these, but like this seems maybe appropriate as far as.
But I got stats.
Ooh, maybe the stats.
Maybe we could
for
have
us.
predictions. We could have predictions, maybe, but I don't have a prediction. I have stats. That's it. Numbers don't lie, but they could. But they could sometimes.
Okay.
Then let's go to the stats.
All right. So I want to preface this by saying that I don't want to influence anybody to vote for anything. These are just numbers. That's it. Okay. Since the very beginning, when we started back in 2022, 2020, well, we got together in 2021. First Rubber Duckies was 2022. The first Best Picture winner was Spider-Man No Way Home, followed by Everything Everywhere All at Once, followed by Oppenheimer last year.
Oh.
And there is a lot of things in common here. Every Best Picture winner has also been the most nominated.
Okay.
Spider-Man with 5, Everything Everywhere with 8, which no film has yet to touch that. And Oppenheimer with 6. Most nominated. Also, and we won't know until the show's over, but the most wins, including Best Picture, is the Best Picture winner. Spider-Man, Everything Everywhere, and Oppenheimer. Some other through lines that I threw in here is that 100% of the time, there is at least one acting win from the Best Picture winner.
Okay.
100% of the time. Spider-Man has Willem Dafoe. Everything Everywhere has like everybody because everyone won that year. Oppenheimer has Cillian Murphy.
Okay. And Robert Downey, right?
No, he didn't. He
He
didn't
didn't
win.
win in Rubber Duckies?
No,
Oh, no.
Melton
Charles Melton did.
won. Right.
Oh yeah.
And
was
then
great.
to a lesser extent, this is not 100%. This is not 100%, but to a lesser extent, the last 2 films have won director. And then Spider-Man and Oppenheimer won another award on top of their freaking vast majority. So Spider-Man won superhero and Oppenheimer won screenplay. So these are some of the through lines of what could make a movie win Best Picture. That being said,
Yeah.
what is this year's most nominated film?
I feel like
Uh,
Anora came up a lot.
Nora or Wicked?
Wicked and yeah,
Wicked
or
came up a lot.
Okay. Cool.
The Substance came up a lot.
The Substance came up a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I do have the answer here.
Oh,
And
what is it?
for the first time ever, it's a tie
Oh.
for most nominations.
Okay.
Oh.
And it is between Honora and The Substance.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
Great
wow.
choices.
Yeah. So if 100% of the time the most nominated film wins Best Picture, it's pretty interesting that this is the first year with a tie. Because if that's the case, let's just say that's the case for this year. It's between Honora and The Substance.
Okay. I could see both of them winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see Wicked and Doom Part 2 being in there too.
I can also agree with that. Yeah.
Where was Wicked?
Oh, I like those stats, John.
Yeah, thank you, John, for doing those.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. Wicked
Yeah,
had
thank you.
5. Wicked had 5. So Honora and The Substance lead with 6 each.
Okay. So Wicked's close.
Wicked was close. Wicked was at 5.
Okay.
So yeah,
Deadpool and Wolverine, not as much as what I expected.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
In
what
terms of
got 3?
in terms of nominations.
Chase, did you hear anything?
I'm terribly sorry, but a bathroom just came and like just kidnapped me for a moment and then took me away. But it brought me right back.
Okay.
So really quickly, if 100% of the time the most nominated film wins Best Picture, this year we have a tie actually for most nominated film, and it's between Honora and The Substance with 6 each.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Wow, wee, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that is going to definitely make it interesting for sure. I don't know.
Very interesting.
I don't know what I'm leaning towards in that. I mean, the Substance probably, but
I mean, who
Honora.
knows though? It could be.
Honora.
It could be Ghostlight.
It could change. It could change. Yeah.
Everyone decides to go watch Ghostlight.
It could really change, right? Like we're only 4 years in, right? The Oscars are 90 something years in, and their stats change all the time.
It's true.
Yeah.
man.
This
Can
is
you
just
guys
our
imagine?
stats as of now.
Challengers is a beloved movie. Dune Part 2. Like these are movies that a lot of people have seen, that a lot of people love. I feel like there's a really good array of films here, and I think we're gonna see a lot more of a mix of votes than we usually see.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine at the 90th Rubber Duckies, the stats we'll have to go off of?
Oh my God.
Oh.
The 90th Rubber Duckies.
We're all in a hospital bed.
I was saying, we all might need breathing tubes and catheters at that point, but
All the hosts are the Stranger Things kids.
we're all Nosferatu. Count or lie.
Oh my God.
Just kind of doing a thing, just leaning up like this. Yeah.
yeah, but I heard he has a nice schlong though, so maybe that's not a bad thing.
Oh no.
As long as the
Yeah.
schlong holds up, that's all you need.
That's true. That's true. You could be old and decrepit and wrinkled, but hey, we know what's important. Priorities.
On
Well,
a different note,
Yeah. On a different note, voting.
yes.
Yes.
At
There we
this
go.
point in time, everybody.
I love
Now
it.
that we've gotten through everything that we have, you go ahead. If you don't know what that little box on the screen is trying to tell you, you scan that weird looking image with your phone, and believe it or not, a page will appear where you can make your selections for the nominees that we have just gone over here. So, right, you get to decide the winners of these categories. Please, at this point, not only do we thank you so kindly for watching and listening to this entirety of this, but we appreciate in advance the voting that you do and the passing along of this to anyone that you possibly can. Obviously, we are well aware, not everybody is as into movies and shows as the 5 of us, as well as everybody here watching. But that doesn't change the fact that even if you haven't seen everything, even if you've only seen, some of it, a little bit more, all of it, whatever, anything in between, your voice deserves to be heard with this stuff. That's the entire purpose of why we put this together, so that the general audience can go ahead and choose the winners. So again, just thank you kindly. If you could put this on blast as we are going to attempt to. You've got the QR code. We will also be dropping a link within our social medias for everybody to be able to go ahead and just click on and share it in case it happens to be easier that way for you. But thank
down
you
in the comment,
advance.
down in our comment section and the description for the video.
Absolutely. We'll have it as many places as we can.
Feel free to ask for any promos that you see us share. You can ask for them and you can share them yourself. We'll send this out on our social media. And
also, as John said earlier, you could always revise your picks as time goes on. You have a little bit of time with that. So if you want to change your vote along the way, you can actually do that. You have some time to do that as well.
Yes.
And with that, we thank you all kindly. Your presence is greatly appreciated. You don't even know. It is fair to say that this show literally could not happen without you. It would just be 5 guys on a virtual meeting talking about movies, which still sounds pretty fun, but not anywhere near as of a good time without everybody going ahead and making the show with us. So with that being said, we can go ahead, unless you guys got any last words to toss in. We feel like we shall bring this to a close for now.
Yes.
Let's do it. Can't wait to see you all on February 23rd.
Yes. Everybody
Just go for it.
Mark your calendars. Hit the little notifications thing on our channel so you get the notification when it comes through. And make sure you're there with us as we get to the actual celebration itself. Until then,
just go for it.
Just go for it.
Go for it. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.